It's camping time with Wade's RV. Stay tuned for the latest in RV news and innovations. Don't forget to like and subscribe for all of this and a lot more.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Camping with Wade's RV. This is 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk. I'm Skyler Cooper.
And I'm Willie D.
Live in the studio this afternoon. It's weird. I guess I like it, Willie, that we're getting the bad stuff during the week.
Yes.
And then a nice weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's great for camping.
It's great for camping, and it's great to go out and check out some RVs out on the lot, because if it's out there raining and snowing, it's not that easy to get out there. So definitely go out there and take a look today. We got some great deals, and we have those extended show prices.
Willie D has some camping stories for us today, and we have a guest in the studio that we'll get to in a little bit. If you have any questions along the way, remember you can text us at 95920. Any questions you have about camping or service, anything that they might be able to help you with at Wade's RV, just hit us up, 95920, or you can call us, 918-460-KRMG, 460-5764. And last week, you're always welcome to do this. During the week, everyone just uses that open mic on the KRMG app. I'm looking at those too, so if you have questions and you can fit it in 15 seconds, hit the open mic button and we'll do it that way.
Send them on in.
So what are we talking about today? You went camping. Where'd you go?
That's exactly right. So I went to Will Rogers Downs out in Claremore. So I've never been out there before, but I have a lot of customers that like to go camp at casinos. So I had to go experience it, and we'll talk about that later. I brought John. He's my parts manager out here. So we're going to talk about some new innovative parts that are out there on the market, and then really what does Wade's parts department have to offer for everyone out there. And then we'll also talk about a couple different types of RVs.
I know you guys have such a wide variety of things that you offer. You don't have to go buy an RV at Wade's RV to be a customer, because you guys do so much service for people who have existing equipment, all of that.
Exactly. We don't care what make, what model, or where you bought it. Bring it into us, and we're going to get working on it. So you don't have to worry about being judged or getting put to the back of the line. We're going to put you up to the front. You're VIP. Every customer is a VIP. It doesn't matter where you purchased or what you have.
So I kind of thought I knew a little bit about camping when we started doing this show, and I've learned so much more. And my one area of struggle is the classes and the names of everything. And I really thought I'd catch on to that faster. I'm just not. A, B, C, and the different names for everything. So you're going to help us learn more of that. Travel trailer versus fifth wheel. Because, you hear RV, you hear camper, you hear travel trailer, fifth wheel. There's a lot of things.
There's all sorts of different types of RVs. And with those motorhomes, it gets kind of confusing. Those A's are the big buses. And then the B's, they go down to those really small vans. And then the C's are kind of right in between. So I can totally understand your confusion.
So a travel trailer, let me see if I have this right. We're going to be quiz time.
Okay.
Travel trailer is a bumper pull, right?
You got it.
All right, cool. Fifth wheel, I know it hooks up in the bed.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then motorhome, you drive.
Motorhome, drive. Gotcha.
Exactly. It's foolproof right there. But like I said, we have John. He's my parts manager. So what he does, if you have a unit that's in the shop, guess what? We got to get parts for it. This is the guy that has to go out there and track it down. And sometimes it's quite the journey to track that down. He also, if you buy a new unit and you want some accessories, this is your go-to guy. Or if you just want some parts and you're kind of a do-it-yourself kind of person, he's your connection as well. So I wanted to bring him on to the show. And so that way everyone can meet him and hear what we have to offer.
Welcome in, John. How you doing?
Thank you. Appreciate you having me here.
Now, where do you hide out at Wade's RV? Because I've been there a few times, and it's probably bigger than I realized. Nice place down there. I haven't seen your office.
I have a little office. It's storage closet as well. I keep a little bit of everything in there. I'm always on the go. I'm either on the floor helping a customer, out in the shop with the technicians trying to find a solution to a problem, out hunting around the toy box or my storage out in the back part of the building, looking for parts and trying to make people happy.
So when you have someone come in, is there a standard thing, the most normal thing that goes wrong with RVs or parts that needs to be replaced?
Not really. I mean, it varies so much that you could have one customer come in, they have a bad furnace, and there's a lot of variables there. Bad water heater. This time of year, the big thing that we see is either people prepping to get out, so they're looking to de-winterize and process, get everything processed up, ready to go. The other thing we see at this time is frozen water heaters, frozen lines. And our big seller at this time of year is heated water hoses.
We talked about that last week, and I was out there camping this weekend, and I didn't actually use water hookups this weekend, but if I did, it would have definitely been necessary, because with all this snow and those, I say, sub-zero temperatures, I'm kind of a wimp when it comes to the cold. I like my heater turned all the way up, and if you were out there camping, you definitely should have gotten one of those heated water hoses, and we have them in stock right now.
I still want my dentist to have one.
Yeah, that would be nice. Help with those teeth nerves and everything.
They spray that with the coldest water they can. They're like, well, you're fine.
Yeah, I think it's from the Rockies, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. So what are some newer things in the parts world, John and Willie D, that maybe, I know last week we talked a lot about newer things in the RV world, like the smart connected stuff and solar powered sort of things. Along those lines, what are you seeing that's new and innovative for parts?
So I was talking about the high steppers and the low riders. And what I meant by that is they came out with a really cool innovation, and it's actually air ride on your trailer. So before, I used to really preach, look at your trailer, your fifth wheels, make sure they have a suspension, because on your car you have shocks. Why wouldn't you want that on your trailer? Well, guess what? They're now putting air ride on there. So it's not only going to improve the smoothness of your ride, but a lot of the times people, they have trouble getting into the RVs. The steps might be a little too high for them, and your campsite is different every single time. So let's say you have a problem with that, lower your airbags, and then you're going to be able to get in. So it makes it really, really convenient.
I know that leveling is a thing when you get out there. How does that work now? Is it is there an automation for that yet?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's actually, we call it auto leveling. And so you can get the manual jack still. So if you want to go out there and crank or bring your drill, you can absolutely do that. Or if you have the auto leveling system, it's simple. It's one click of the button. So you go over to your panel and you click auto level, and it's done. That's all you have to do. And they have that in fifth wheels and in motorhomes too.
That's really cool, because I know that the old school method of having the little level built into the side,
yes,
and you'd have to kind of manually figure it out.
Oh yeah.
So computers help with everything, even out in the woods.
Absolutely. John, what are some parts that you're seeing that are coming out?
The big thing I'm seeing, and it's a natural progression of as a homeowner, we got tankless water heaters 10, 15 years ago. The big thing now is tankless water heaters. We're seeing them in the Highline motorhomes and the fifth wheels, and we're slowly seeing them progress into the travel trailers as well. What I like about it, I know like anybody else, I like a constant, long, hot shower, and the on-demand water heaters provide that. There's Detruma and Suburban both have them. It's really an amazing product. People, especially full-timers or, right-away guys out there on the pipeline, stuff like that, they want that hot shower. They don't want to stop. And it's really a game changer for a lot of people.
I have a customer who actually likes to take baths. That was one of her requests, is she said, I want a bathtub. And that's kind of a hard thing to find these days. So that tankless water heater was exactly what she was looking for. And we went ahead and installed it. And now she can take all the baths she wants.
I hear a lot about showers in RVs. I didn't realize you could get a tub in there.
You absolutely can. Yeah, we carry Torque, and that's the brand that actually has that in there. So what she was wanting was originally a bunkhouse. And with those wants and needs, we kind of put a game plan together. A lot of people don't think about a toy hauler as necessarily a bunk model, but in the rear, 90% of the time, it has double bunk beds. And if you don't want to use the garage, roll a nice piece of carpet out, and then it's a whole new room. And my favorite part is that a lot of times you get those decks on the back. So you have that extended living area, and you can go outside and really enjoy the outdoors.
They also offer screen packages now for your toy haulers, and they actually have a tent system that goes around the deck. If you lay the deck out to be, your outdoor patio, they have screen systems, roofs, everything like that, of that nature.
How many things do you deal with that are, let's say, if it's not just included, it's not, factory equipped, that the manufacturer offers, or how many things are people buying that are sort of aftermarket and custom?
It's a mix of both. You have, in motorhomes particularly, we can get most anything that's offered in a motorhome to fit into a motorhome. In the travel trailers and the fifth wheels, we run into things where people want to add stuff. We have to be creative sometimes, because some things don't always fit. But with our service team, Wade's experience and knowledge, and my ability to source material, we can find a way to make things work for you.
Now, I know that, Willie D, we talked about this last week. Every time you show me something new, I think it's my new favorite.
Of course.
So, like the Riverstones, I've been on the Evokes for a while.
Everything at Wade's is going to be your favorite if I keep showing you.
If I could, buy one and then make John go to work for me and say, hey, man, I love the exterior speakers on the Evoque, and I love the Island or whatever it is, all the spaciousness of a Riverstone. Where would you start, and how would we go from there?
Well, I would walk up to John's office and say, guess what I got? A nice little list of things for you to find. And that's the cool thing about Wade's RV. I've worked other places, and if I asked to replace a couch, they looked at me like I was crazy. At Wade's RV, we talked about all those different places that you have parts, and the reason why you have parts so many places is we have so many. We actually have RV furniture. So if you're looking to swap out that couch, get a different color, or, you want those Evoque speakers, you want, different headliner, whatever you might want necessarily, we can make that happen. And the cool thing is you can get OEM parts, you can get aftermarket parts. We can get all of that stuff for you. So
we're not scared.
No, that's Wade's kind of slogan. I ain't scared.
Yeah.
They'll take the challenge.
We're willing to think outside the box. Like Willie took out one of our Class Bs the other night. I had another customer come in recently. He's got what I call a weekender. It's basically a Sprinter van chassis that's a bunch of captain's chairs for traveling. It does have a head in the back with a little toilet and sink. He wants a roof rack. He wants a ladder. I've sourced it, figured out where we stand. We're just waiting to get a confirmation from him. But we're not scared to try anything different, and anything anybody else says, no, we can't do it, we're going to try to approach it.
And one thing, I'm going to go ahead and jump in here, is if you do have something like that and you haven't been able to find it, guess what? We have more resources than the normal public does. So we can absolutely help you out with that sort of stuff.
That's awesome. Talking with Willie D and John from Wade's RV. If you have questions about, you're starting to think where you want to go camping this spring, text us now, 95920, because you might think, I want to upgrade something I've got. John can probably answer those questions for you.
Oh, yeah.
Let's do it right now. It's Camping with Wade's RV.
Text your questions to 95920 or give us a call at 918-460-KRMG.
Welcome back. It's Camping with Wade's RV on KRMG. I'm Skylar Cooper with Willie D, and he brought his parts guy, John, today from Wade's RV. So if you guys have questions about anything in the service realm, parts, camping in general, they're all here. So
bring
text
it
us.
on. We ain't scared.
95920. That should be your new slogan.
Come on.
Just make it official. Can we call Wade and make that official?
I'm sure we could get him on the phone. He might be in the shop, though. That's the only problem.
So you can also call us, 918-460-KRMG, or hit that open mic on the KRMG app. It's a really easy way to get your questions in. We did get a question. We'll get to that in just a second, but we're going to tell you a little bit about the extended show pricing you guys are going on, because you had the RV show a little while back. Probably welcoming the relaxing times after that, right?
Yes. It's kind of handy because we have all of our new units shipped in, and so after we have such a big show, it kind of gives a little bit of breathing room. So right now, all those guys in the shop, today is a huge day because the show just ended, and so it's the first Saturday after the show. They have tons of deliveries, so they are out there, they are busting it, and they are making it happen. Those guys are the superheroes behind the scenes, let me tell you.
What was it like camping out at, it was in Claremore?
Yeah, it was at the Will Rogers Downs, and so it was pretty cool. So like I said, I have a lot of customers that tell me about, they love the casinos, and not necessarily just for the gambling, but there's so many different entertainment opportunities out there. And so if they're in between kind of their camping spot or they're traveling through towns, a lot of times you can pull up your RV and you can actually camp there. What I found looking in this week is you always need to prepare, because some of them have hookups, some of them will let you park your camper there, but not necessarily stay in it. So you definitely want to prepare. But the cool thing about staying out there at the Will Rogers Downs is they have it all. So with it being a KOA, which if you're not familiar with the term is Campgrounds of America, they have tons of different amenities. So if you're at the park, I start out with the campsite itself. So with the campsite itself, they have gravel right there. So even with it being muddy and stuff, it made it super nice. I pulled in my RV and, I really didn't get that muddy, but always bring a towel with you as well. That's kind of one of those, secret little tips. You always want a towel so you can make sure you clean up. But out there, they have laundry. They even have a playground. And the most important thing to me is they have nice, clean bathrooms. So it was a really, really great stay. And once I got all set up and everything, I got to go over to the casino. They had a really nice live band, and it was prime rib night. So they had a special, and it was like $10, and it was the best thing I've ever had. And they were just so hospitable. They gave me a full tour around the place and just kind of took me in for one of their own. So I really, really enjoyed that. And what I took out there with me, which is one of my favorite types of RVs, is a Class B. And like I was saying earlier, it's more so a converted van. And so if you're familiar with those old school Astros and stuff, this is like a fancy version of that, where it actually has a bathroom in there. It has an induction cooktop. And one of my favorite things is we were talking about the Truma, it has that Truma hot water and heater system in there. So the big thing about Truma is, for one, it's lightweight, it's super efficient, and it's going to work really, really well. And so I kicked that thing on, and it was a little bit of a chilly night last night, and it kept me super, super warm. And that CrossFit is incredible. It's a little van. It's about 23 foot long, and the driving experience, if you're kind of intimidated by getting into an RV and driving it down the road, this CrossFit, you're not going to, I think it's easier than driving in my car. With the way you just sit in your cockpit and you have all those controls surrounding you and going down the road, it's going to be quiet and it's going to be enjoyable.
It sounds like it's nice. The one thing that I drove that was bigger than that was like one of those 26-foot U-Hauls, and I was terrified.
Yeah.
You can't see anything.
You can't. And that's the great thing about these Class Bs versus the Cs. They're on the exact same frame, but with those Bs, it's going to be more narrow. So you're essentially driving a narrow car right down the road. And 23 foot, if you actually get out there with your tape measure, a lot of cars are actually longer than that. Yeah. So it might be more manageable than what you're driving every day.
Text question at 95920, probably for both of you, but John, I bet you know about this. Texter says, motorhome engine, cooking, hot water, heat. Can you do that stuff on compressed natural gas now?
It's progressing that direction. Starting with the drivetrain, that's really where it's at, because you're already seeing CNG out there in cars, and municipalities are using it a lot in their vehicles. City of Tulsa uses it a lot. We're seeing some progression that direction with the appliances in the units, but it's slow because generally what we're seeing is the dual service unit, and they're costly. That's kind of the hang up right now with CNG. The process for burning it and everything kind of is making it cost prohibitive. I see them coming along though.
Yeah, it's one of those things that it's CNG to refill is cheap, but that connection, that conversion, and
exactly.
They say in vehicles, I know we hear it all the time Saturday mornings here on KRMG, that it's, if you do a pickup truck and you're on a fleet or something, you'll make your money back over time. But I would imagine with something like an RV that it would take way longer to make your money back because you're not out there every day in it, and it's probably more expensive. A
drivetrain conversion in a just your car or truck, that you drive every day, can run you $3,000 to $8,000. On an RV, we could see up to $15,000 to do that conversion. Yeah. And generally, those conversions are a dual gas. They'll operate LP or CNG. The cost prohibitiveness is what slows a lot of people down in that.
Absolutely. And what you were saying earlier is over time, we may see this progress. I've seen it with many different things in the RV industry. The first thing that came to my mind was lithium-ion batteries. Those used to be just never seen at all. And now we're seeing them slowly introduced into RVs. And those things are really, really cool. And if you want some, John can hook you up.
Exactly.
You can call Wade's RV, 918-291-1011, or go to wadesrv.com. Explain your two locations. You're at 161st and Highway 75.
Correct. We're at 161st and Highway 75, and that's where we have our superstore. So if you're looking for some of those super deals and that extended show pricing, that's where you're going to want to go today. And we have storage out there, and we have a shop. So if it's more convenient to go to that location, absolutely come on into it. And then on 121st, it makes it really nice. We have our paint booth and then our big shop where if you have that big motorhome, I can lift it all the way up in the sky.
Need to take a break for the news, and we'll check the forecast. After the break, we're going to talk about boondock camping, which I think I know what that is, but again, not the terminology guy here, so we'll ask Willie D and John to explain. Text your questions now. We'll take a break. You can send those to 95920. This is Camping with Wade's RV on KRMG. Welcome back. It's Camping with Wade's RV, 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk. Skyler Cooper here and Willie D. John is in the studio with us, the parts guy from Wade's RV. If you have questions, like many people do today, text us at 95920. We have a couple of those really good questions that I think will help a lot of people out there. John, we already have some answers in our heads, so we can start to help these people. You can also open mic your question to me. Just download the KRMG app. It's a free app. And then hit open mic, and you record your voice for 15 seconds and send it in. That way you don't have to be nervous about going live on the radio. Some people are apprehensive to call. But if you want to, it's 918-460-KRMG. We earlier talked about Willie D's camping trip up to Claremore at Will Rogers Downs. But you also wanted to tell us about boondock camping. What is boondock camping?
So basically what that means is if you don't have the hookups, you're essentially boondocking. So I was looking into going to one of the casinos yesterday, and they were going to allow me to stay in the RV at the location, but they didn't have any hookups or anything. So that would be considered boondocking. Examples would be hunting, or if you're just camping like up in the mountains. I went to Crested Butte not too long ago, and it was an amazing experience. But, you can't necessarily take a big, giant, motorhome or fifth wheel down there. You got to have something small and compact. And last night, being in the CrossFit, it made it perfect. That would have been a great unit to take out boondocking with you. And if you're looking for like a towable, we have off-road RVs at Wade's RV that you have to check out. They're incredible.
I think it would be fun to do it that way, because that's kind of how I grew up camping, before you have RVs and you just take a tent. I lived like in the country, and so the woods were just a walk away right out the back door. So you take a camp out back, or a tent out back, and you're camping. That's that's kind of what I imagine boondocking is. You're just driving there.
Exactly. And that's how I got my start camping as well, is my grandparents. It's a funny story. So all my relatives would come into town, and guess who got kicked outside? All the boys. And so my grandparents had an old Aerosity, which is an Airstream. I think it was a 1969, if I'm not mistaken. A really cool floor plan, 2 twin beds, and then you got the bathroom in the back and a dinette up front. And guess what? They threw us out in the field. And so we were out there in the cow pasture boondocking in this Airstream. And so that's how I got my very first start camping.
Boondocking's more in the context of boondocking, it's more prevalent out west. I had some RV experience out in Colorado for a minute. Went out and worked in the service and parts department on the Western Slope. Everybody there boondocks. Everybody's on solar. Everybody's on generator. Everybody's doing filling up their fresh tank. They disappear in the woods. Many trips that we would take, we'd grab a service road, drive it until it became a trail, until it became nothing, and then a trail again. You would literally see people out there, and I mean, twin axle travel trailers, and you're like, I barely got here. How'd they get that here?
Yeah. But
they're out there. They got their generator. They got their solar panel setups, and they're out there for weeks at a time.
What are some of the things that you would need to go boondocking if you already have an RV and you want to go?
The first things first, power. You're going to look at a generator or solar systems. A lot of the newer units coming out, they're already equipped to plug and play for solar panels. Furrion and Zamp Power, the 2 predominant players in the market right now. You have a port in the side of the trailer to plug in a portable, which is basically a little suitcase system that has its own charge controller in it. A lot of the larger units have mounting already established on the roof. Everything's there to literally plug and play.
We have a question at 95920 for you guys. Texter says they have a camper that has an odd smell, and they've done everything they know to do. How much would you charge? Is there a service charge to come out and have them smell it?
Well, the first thing is they would need to bring the unit to Wade's RV, and it would be really hard to put necessarily a dollar figure on what the service charge would be. I would start with having an assessment, and with that, let's say you just bought an hour of shop time so that they could look at it. They may be able to find the smell. They may not, so you might be looking at multiple hours. So it would be a variable of how fast we could find the problem that's causing that smell, whether it's your tank, if there's something that's living in your RV, maybe we got to find that little critter.
Leaks, create mold, create smell.
Yeah.
There's many different variables with this. So the first thing I would do is go to Wade's RV and let us take a look at it, and then let's find the problem, and then we can see exactly what it's going to cost to fix it.
I have a couple of labs that can find anything. I bet they could, if it's living, they'll find it in there.
Let's bring it on. I'm sure we could use them in the shop.
But I've heard refrigerators are kind of stinky in there.
They can. The big thing that people forget when they go to winterize, you really need to keep the reefers cracked. It's no different than when you have a rental house and people move out. You got to open them reefers up, because anything in there that's got condensation and whatnot, it will create mold. It will create smell. The other thing is we do sell what I call a dry pack, which is a dissectant. It comes in a little tub. Open up the lid, put it in the middle of the RV when you go to put it in winterization. It's going to absorb all that moisture in there to keep that from happening.
Willie D, you've talked about the seals being an issue, and that's something I know Wade has to fix quite often for folks. Could that be an issue like this? It
could be. That could. It wouldn't necessarily be the seal itself, but it could be a faulty seal that's letting water in and then causing that mold and different things like that. So it could be a lot of different things. We were talking about the refrigerators, keeping those cracked open. Here's a little pro tip my grandparents used to tell me, so listen up. It's going to be a good one if Grandma told me. You put newspapers in between that fridge. That way it's not going to accidentally shut. And if you're looking at an RV, I love the Norcold fridges because they have a little tab, and so you can kick that over, and so you don't have to bring those newspapers with you.
We also sell in the shop, we've got a little device that literally clips onto the doors to hold them open. And, $6, I think it is. It's going to save you a lot of cleaning when you get back to starting season.
Some of the different things that people do while boondocking that just off the top of my head, I know hunters would probably go that way. For me, it was always riding four-wheelers. Me and my friends go out, and some of the places we would go, we actually stopped taking tents because, gosh, it's frustrating.
Absolutely.
But we started using cabins. We always wanted a toy hauler or something like that. So off-roading was what we were doing. And whether that's, your toy of choice, we were on quads, but we would have friends who brought bikes or side-by-sides or whatever. And then just the people who want to drive out there and not have their phone or anything making noise for a week.
Exactly. And you can see some of the most beautiful places off that beaten path. We have great campsites in Oklahoma, the state parks, and it's very, very accessible. but there's lots of great boondocking opportunities as well. One of my friends, he loves to go hunting, and he camps out in a valley. It's pretty cool. He has a drone, he flies it up, and you can see the overview of it, and he's got a whole bunch of toy haulers all surrounding each other. They have a fire right in the middle, and then whenever they get their kill, they can bring it on into camp and take care of it all right there. And it's just an incredible experience any way you look at it. Like I said, you get to the best spots that you could ever imagine.
It's like, yeah, I agree with Willie. You know, my perspective is when you go out, you're wanting to disconnect. You want to get away from the rat race. You want to have that space. You want to reconnect with nature and kind of gather yourself again. The best way to do it is to eliminate the telephone, not watch the TV, just enjoy the company you're with, or if you're alone, enjoy nature.
Absolutely.
One of the things that I found when we would go ride at Little Sahara and camp out there was not only do you want to disconnect, but if you don't, you'll probably ruin any electronics you have, because going out in the sand, it doesn't matter what it's in, what it's under, it's going to get sand in it. That's just how it is out there. So I've ruined some cameras. This was before I had a GoPro to take with me, and we took a big old mini DV tape to like a big thing to go to tape ourselves. And it's never been the same with the sand in it. You can hear it, everything that moves. It's got sand in there. So it's kind of a forceful way to disconnect, and it's really nice.
Absolutely. Let's talk about connecting, though. If you want to see what we're doing here in the studio, make sure to go to YouTube, our Facebook page, or our Instagram, and you can watch the episode that we're recording right now, a couple days from now. And we post that every single week, and that way you guys can be connected to us. We don't want you disconnected.
We want you to be a part of our family. I mean, and Wade encourages that across the board. The whole team. We treat you as family when you come in the door. We want you to walk away being part of our family. We want you to embrace what we're trying to accomplish, and we want to make people happy.
John is with us from Wade's RV, as well as Willie D. And we've been talking about a lot of parts and accessories today and some different camping spots that Willie D has been out to. And if you have questions, remember to text us at 95920. And if you missed any of the answers, because we have had a few technical things today, you can go back and listen to the show as a podcast, too. If you're not on YouTube just yet, go to the podcast on the KRMG app. Another question for you guys that came in from a texter. They said they have been out camping and they have frozen in the winter. They've been overheated in RVs and houseboats. Summer and winter, doesn't matter. They've been uncomfortable with the temperature. So they're asking if floors, walls, insulation, and the doors, has that stuff improved to make it more comfortable?
Absolutely. You're going to get me excited talking about this one. Some great examples. Last week, we were talking about that great Riverstone, and Rocky pointed out it has a 3-inch wall. And so that's all insulation. If you're looking at some travel trailers, one of my favorites for insulation is going to be the North Trail. It's got a laminated floor that's about 1.5 inches, and that's all foam. So if you're thinking about a Yeti, that's your Yeti package essentially, and then the walls on it are about 2 inches thick of block foam, and then the roof is an incredible 4 inches. So if you're looking for insulation, we can definitely help you out. Not the weekend camper. If you're just camping in Oklahoma, probably isn't the same camper. If you're going up to Montana or something, you want to make sure you get the right camper that fits what type of camping you're doing. And a lot of these motorhomes, I don't know anyone who has a heated floor in their house, but I know they're making where you have heated floors in your RVs, so you can live like a rock star whenever you're out camping.
The technology has progressed so much in the last 5 or 6 years. Like radiant heated floors in your motorhomes. I think some of the higher line fifth wheels are starting to roll out the radiant heat. ACs and furnaces, we're right on the cusp, I think, of where the technology is going to vastly improve. The big thing that we have in Oklahoma, like the caller said, I'm sweating. We get to a point in Oklahoma that everybody's sweating, even in your house sometimes, and it's keeping the air movement and providing the best shade you can. If you got slide rooms, I highly suggest slide toppers. It's going to create shade on those slide rooms when they're out, but also it's going to protect the roof of those slide rooms, because no matter where you're at in Oklahoma, you got a tree that's dropping something, sticks, nuts, whatnot. That's going to keep those from getting caught up in that slide room, get caught up in your seals like we were discussing earlier and tearing those up, or even getting caught up in the mechanism and jamming them up.
Makes me think about when I was younger and stare in the fridge trying to find a snack. My mom would say, close the door, you're letting all the cold out. It's probably the same with RVs. You don't want to leave those things open. If it's a smaller space, it's going to take less time for that heat to come rushing in.
Absolutely.
Take a quick break here. I'll be right back.
You are listening to RV Camping on 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's news and talk. Get your questions in now, 918-460-KRMG, or text us at 95920.
Welcome back. It's Camping with Wade's RV, 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk. I'm Skyler Cooper.
And I'm Willie D.
John's in the studio today with us, the parts guy at Wade's RV. And we've been getting a lot of questions from you, texting us at 95920. Thank you for those. It's been fun to answer them. We have one that we'll get to in just a minute, but Willie D, run us through that extended show pricing that you have, because there are some specific units, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. There's tons of great deals out there, but we have a couple that are just, mind-blowing. So I was talking last week about how we had some that were $40,000, $50,000 off. I was looking through our price sheet, and I found one that we have for $74,000 off what it normally sells for, and that's our new Air. It's our new Marking Air, and it's the 3545, and so that's it's $429,000 normally. Right now, you can pick that up for only $354,000, and what's cool about that, being the new Air, is it's short, it's high-end, and it's fun, so you can get to a lot of those different places.
It's a beautiful unit. If just get online and take a look at it, it will blow you away. You walk into it and you're thinking hotel suite, the Waldorf Astoria. It is beautiful.
It's beautiful. And with it only being 35 feet, you can get just about anywhere you want. Another one, we had Rocky from Riverstone on last week. We have one of these Riverstones out there. It's a 38 RE, and I actually have two of them, and they're a different price. The reason why is because some of those different innovations, and I was looking through it, and one of the big ones is the steps. Most of it is pretty minor, but you can save an extra $7,000 off of this unit compared to what it normally does. And these show prices, they're only for a limited time. So whenever we go to that show, we are contracted by all of these brands to bring those units there. And since we do that, and it costs money, they give us extra discounts to pass on to you guys. And so whenever we have those extended show pricing, basically they're saying, hey guys, you did a good job. Here's another couple weeks to get those people that were, thinking about it, maybe didn't fully commit on that unit. Let's go ahead and give them an opportunity to take advantage of this stuff. But it's only for a limited time. It's not going to be around forever. And we never know exactly what prices they're going to give us. So if you're wanting an RV, come and buy one now, because it's lower than I've ever seen before.
We've got a huge lot full of a lot of amazing stuff out there. You got to come out and see what we have, because every day I wander the lot and I see something I haven't looked at. I walk in and check it out and I'm like, wow, this is cool.
We have just a couple of minutes left, Willie D. So before we end, I wanted to have you go a little bit further in depth on what we mentioned earlier, a travel trailer versus a fifth wheel. But first, question at 95920's texter, is there a winter product to prevent window sweat?
That's kind of a battle. Window sweat's production of humidity and heat variation. Even with your home, you do get window sweat. The biggest thing is to keep air moving. That air movement is the big key to anything, a home, an RV, whatnot, because if the air gets stale and just sits, you start to get sweat. You can start creating mold. You can start creating problems.
So, Willie D, travel trailer versus fifth wheel. All I know is the travel trailer hooks up to your bumper and the fifth wheel hooks up inside the bed. So what else might you see different?
It does. Sizes is going to be one thing. Widths is going to be another. So with travel trailers, if you're looking to get to some of those more compact spaces, things like that, I would recommend doing that, because they don't make a 10-foot, 12-foot fifth wheel. So if you're looking for something compact, they start at about 20 foot and then go up to over 40 foot. So if you have like a welder and stuff in the back, you can get those larger travel trailers, and you're not going to be limited. You're going to be able to have washer, dryer, that sort of stuff. Whenever you're looking at your fifth wheels, a lot of times you see big storage, large showers. The hooking up, I think, is a little bit easier because you can see it whenever you're turned around, and you're going to see a lot more of residential stuff in it as well, like residential fridges, washers and dryers, and the sinks and things of that.
Did you see the commercials for the new pickups that can see around your trailer and stuff?
I have, and with those fifth wheels and travel trailers, they actually have systems that you can put cameras all the way around. So if you hit your turn signal, it'll show you your complete blind spot. So if you're looking for a 360 view, we can make that happen.
We offer it aftermarket as well.
That would be really cool. Any other questions you have, call Wade's RV, 918-291-1011, or go see Willie D at 161st and Highway 75.
Come on.
Out of the time for this week, but we will be back next Saturday at noon. You're listening to Camping with Wade's RV. It's 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk.